Oh my gosh, wait, where am I? Where the heck did I go? I'm right here. Today's setup is kind of weird because, you know, we're not used to working in this side of the shop, but we're gonna need the floor space for what we're about to do because we're gonna like try and make the hutch for our little nightstand, you know, that we went ahead and modified. We chopped the legs off. The legs fit on the metal legs really well. And so now that we have kind of prototyped our hinging mechanism for our folding table and legs, it's time to build a hutch such that it can fold inside. We're gonna see what my woodworking origami skills are gonna be like. But I already saw there was like chatter before all this started. This is gonna be a little strange because like all your comments are all the way over there. So I may have to go off the screen here to go read them. But of course we have Dave Beck here. Kuzer Customs is back. And then we have Anthony. I'm gonna have to get a little closer to read this. One moment, peeps. We have Anthony Cisneros. He's saying, hi, everyone. And Jim Frozen is here. Bill Frazier is back, and I'm glad to report you're going to see that I made a slight modification to our legs and table situation. Not much, because I really liked the idea of the legs. And I know a few of you guys mentioned it. I remember definitely Bill was mentioning to add little adjustable feet at the bottom. And we have Don Strickers here. He's saying, hi, Rachel. So yes, normally we have our outdoor camera for wood cutting literally 2 minutes before the stream. The USB port that it connects to in the back of my computer, it's been getting a little jiggly. You know, it's been getting a little jiggly over time, and finally now it over jiggled and nothing plugs in there. So I had to like rearrange cameras real quick in like 2 minutes. And so, you know, I might switch to the wrong scene, but we're gonna go for it. This is like live, you know, nothing is like pre-planned much. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys kind of like what we did the last time in case you didn't watch. I'm gonna move this stool. This stool is kind of like the helper, my second person, you know, to help me. So we're just gonna move Igor out of the way here, Igor's stool, and I'm gonna grab everything that was on him and just get it off because it is just gonna fall. I mean, we all know this. It's gonna fall to the floor. So I'm just making my way over to my table behind you guys to just kind of put this stuff away. And you guys are kind of laughing at the over jiggled. You know how it is. You all know the USB ports from plugging in and taking out. Over time, they just start to wiggle. And I tried a new USB cable and everything. It wasn't a cable. The actual port on the computer is just gone kaput. It's like, I don't want to be the outside camera port. It's freezing out there. Why did you choose me? So it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to be working for today's stream. So we are down, I believe, a camera. But we're going to make do because, you know, it'll be an extra big project. So Bill is you know, still laughing about the over jiggling. And guys, I don't know, let's get started. So let's see which camera is going to be best because I didn't have time to position them. So let's see what's going on here. Maybe something like this. The foot camera. Yes, this is gonna be like our working on the floor camera, and Rachel has no head. You know, which some people prefer, you know, but we're going to be doing all of our pocket hole business on here. You can see our little dresser. Now, of course, it's legless. I thought that if it were still on its legs, it's going to be really tough to put that hatch on top. So I decided to put it on the floor like this so that way the work stays Rachel size. You know, no big giant Andre the Giant size things going on here. So let's see. Yeah, so I think this is best. And I'm going to go ahead and bring what we worked on last time. And let's see. It's going to be the crawling on the floor. So check this out. And I'm going to lay this on the floor. And Jim is saying, get a USB hub. Yeah, I think if I can plug something into that jiggly hub, I might be okay. I'm going to see if I can raise you guys just a little bit. And we're probably going to be adjusting cameras a lot during this stream, only because we don't have as many as we normally do. There, also kind of gives you guys a better idea. I'll just back up a little bit of what we're working on. So the idea was to get, you know, here we have our dresser and we're building a hutch up over it. So the idea was to have a table and its legs folded up in here such that it was flush with the surface, right? And then when you wanted to pull out your workstation, the legs would come out and it would sit at a 90-degree angle. So last stream, we sat there trying to figure out like these mechanics, you know, how high was this gonna be? Also finding the most sturdy way to do this. So one idea we came up with is kind of hinging it and attaching feet. But if you attach feet to the bottom, well now, you know, you're still gonna get it flush, but there's gonna be a gap here to accommodate for the feet. So how do we do all this? So what I figured is, which way does this open? I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is the table portion. And I might actually switch to the other camera so I can mount this on this little dresser right here and we can actually see it in action. Although the dresser is like, you know, a little bit short, but we'll see it in action. Oh, I already see this is going to be the getting up and down from the floor. So I don't need leg day type of stream. So let me get these two panels that I pre-cut for us out of the way. Because the dimension that we do know is this dimension right here. That never changes. So we were able to figure this out. So anyways, this will mount up like this, right? And we're gonna pretend that this is higher, but see how flush, you know, a nice flush. Now it does kind of indent in here just a little bit because the little feet are gonna hide right here. And I thought, you know what, for mid-century modern or atomic age furniture, this is still pretty flat. So these are our legs. And so when we want to, you know, do some work and stuff, it should be able to fold out like this. And I'll try and hold it. Ooh. Igor, come assist me. Lazy Igor. So it'll go down like that. All right. So of course it can't go down all the way because this thing is you know, on here, but I can at least hold it for you guys sideways to see what I mean. So this is what I went ahead and did. So the table is missing its frame, its little cover piece. So you see all this ugly plywood. I'm gonna put that on in a little bit, you know, probably right after this stream, because I wanted to figure out how much of the table is gonna sit inside the cabinet. And, you know, so that way this part right here sits flush. So we have a 1.5 inch piece right here. This piece I'm gonna cut to 3/4 inch. But if I continue it into the cabinet, that's gonna raise the table 3/4 of an inch. So I want this to sit flush. So our nice trim piece is gonna start somewhere about here and then continue on. And you'll kind of see what I mean. But one of the things I liked about this design versus our flush design, meaning when these two folded, the boxes here folded together like this in one giant piece, not one above and one below. And so you got kind of a weird, you know, kink situation here. Plus we wouldn't be able to put our feet. So I recessed the box inside the natural kind of hole, you know, we had here. And thankfully I did not put the trim piece on here as I did with this panel. I started with the leg panel, I got it all done, put the trim pieces. And accidentally, as I was trying to like improve on our hinge mechanism, well, one table fell inside the leg. And I'm like, well, eureka, like I can recess and, you know, still continue our trim piece here all the way until it meets up the table. So I think that this is an improved design. One of the things that I like about it, if I just put the leg back up again, is that notice this hinging mechanism right here. And I'll pull it back, you know, so you guys can see. So how this table just, it acts as a natural stop. So I cannot take my foot and kick the leg out from under it, collapsing it. But what I can do is kick from this direction and it'll still collapse. So if you remember from last stream, we do have locking brackets that we're gonna put right here once we kind of have everything a little bit more figured out and our hutch situation done. So this is pretty much done. And I can kind of, let's see, Can you guys see what's going on here? Yeah. So you can see I switched the piano hinge so it's on the inside here. And I was like, should I color it gold or you know what? And it's like piano hinges are ugly. So I'm going to paint it all white so the hinge is less noticeable, even though it's totally on the bottom, so it's not really noticeable anyways. So the only thing we're missing is this. And start, you know, putting your thinking cap on. And I see a whole bunch of comments coming in, so I'm gonna stop in a minute and get a little closer and read your comments. All right, so the table is up. This end right here is resting on our dresser because our dresser is over here, you know, versus back there. And this folds into our dresser. So this has a support. Well, this on this side is being entirely supported by the hinge. Now, me personally, I am not a huge fan of this. Now, if you go to Amazon and you find folding out table designs, this top portion, they're almost all supported by some weak old little hinge. So after a lot of folding, this is going to be a problem. So one of the things that I want to think about doing is, because we have a recessed area here, somehow maybe do like a flip out paddle foot that would kind of act as more of a support here. At the very least, one of the things I can do is drill a tiny dowel hole here and a dowel hole here, and then insert 2 dowels, and then this can sit on those dowels. That is like probably the easiest, solution than the flip out feet. So I'll be posting pictures of the underside of this thing so you guys can see kind of what's going on, and maybe we can figure out some kind of better support. The hinges are fine if you're using laptops, simple things, but if you kind of forget and you put something heavy on here, this is gonna start to loosen up on us. So I'm gonna put this aside here. Actually, I'm not gonna put it aside because we're gonna need it. So we're gonna figure out now our Hutch situation and how this thing is gonna fold. But before I do, I am gonna put it aside because I'm gonna read your comments. There we go, a little bit of a weird stream setup today, so I might disappear here for a bit just to kind of read your comments. No, just my butt, Jim was, of course, saying, like I said before, to get a USB hub to fix my problems. And Dave is saying, what? No sock feet? I know, it's such a disappointment. I thought about it, but I'm like, nails and sock feet don't really add up. Typically, I'm working in here in my slippers or my socks. I know, not a good idea. I'm gonna get the comments like, safety first. Yeah, okay. But sometimes you have a really great idea early in the morning and then you just rush in and you want to test it out. And for our Robo picnic cart, we had a paper mat and I didn't want to ruin it with my shoes. So I was walking around all with tiger socks on. So, every stream we got kind of a new novelty sock situation. And Merlin is saying, I love your curtain backdrop, and Kuzer is saying, I had the same floor in my trailer. Yeah, you know what? It's like a plastic and it can get as dirty as I want. It doesn't matter. It cleans up really easy. Now, this curtain, guys, is because I built this, you can now see more of it, this wraparound situation. And if I lift, is there a wizard back here behind the curtain? So you see that I did not really make doors yet for this side. I'm too busy streaming, with you guys. So this side has doors, this side has doors, and this does not. And there's a ton of lawn equipment, and I know what's gonna happen. I'll be working back here and butt against it, and it's gonna fall on me. So I figure if I put a curtain here, it'll remind me if I hit curtain, stop, or else some kind of rake is gonna fall on my head. So that's where that curtain come from. It has its partner, so it makes a seamless kind of old steampunk train type of doors. It's pretty cool. And Bill was saying, yeah, I like the design. And Carl's saying, hi, Igor. So everyone is the stool now is the new co-host of Gearhead Diva. Welcome, Igor Stool. And he'll be coming in handy here in a bit. And Bill is also liking the design either of the curtain or of this, fold out thing. I don't know where I was in the talking when you made that comment. And Kurt Benning is here. Awesome. And he is preaching his NASCAR. Start your engines. Yeah, because that's how we are starting this stream. We are starting our engines. And Cruiser Custom is saying mount hydraulic hinges on it. And yeah, all right, now you tell me. So I have these hinges and I'm gonna try and origami my way to them. So I'm gonna go past you guys, and there's a space about this big for me to squeeze past the light and to go get the hinge, because we are gonna need it to kind of mock some of this stuff up. So I will be right back. I'll be right back. And oh, am I sliding through? People, yes. You know what that means? More holiday deliciousness for me. You know, it means I got some room I can fill. Yes. So these are the hinges that we were talking about. And Bill is confirming that when he said nice design, he was referring to our little table fold out situation. So you've probably seen these with step stools, or, oh, let me sit on Igor here for a second because we're going to be doing a lot of standing. So you've probably seen these hinges with like treasure chest type things. And so of course this will connect to our legs, which is here, you know, and it just depends on, wait, like that. All right, there we go. So this is going to connect to our leg, and it's up here inside the cabinet, then it starts to come out, right? And it'll lock in this position. So it's locked and hold it in. So this in and of itself will provide some support to the table. We're gonna have two of them on either side. So that provides some support. So it's not like the table is completely only supported by its hinges. So I might have been exaggerating and creating way too much drama with that. So yes, it'll be hinges plus these two. But it would be nice to add some kind of physical, like fold out flaps or something that, you know, it rests on something meaty or some kind of piece of wood or something like that. So we do have these, and hydraulic hinges probably would have worked better if we can find some really thin ones. One thing I liked about these is that by the time it collapses, this is not even an inch. I believe it's not even like 3/4 of an inch. Hello, why you no focus? So it's, oh, there we go. It doesn't like it being too close. It's like, stop it. You know, it's like, that's like first date material. You know, first you start conversation far away. Then, you know, when you move up the bases, then you can get all close. So to keep it focus happy, this collapses down to less than 3/4 of an inch. So that allows us to really fold the design down pretty thin. So we don't have this big chunky monkey trying to fold together. And I'm just going to put this here where hopefully I will remember it. So, all right, where were we? I'm going to move Igor out of the way, Igor's stool. And yes, so the next thing we have to figure out is how high do we have to make this opening for this thing to have full swing? Because remember, if you've ever built a bookshelf or something that's very close to your ceiling, you build it on the floor, then you flip it up and, oh no! The back of it hits the ceiling because it's not enough clearance. So it's like, well, this is an 8-foot bookcase, 8-foot ceiling. Theoretically, they should fit, you know, right? Or even a 7.5-foot bookcase. So depending on how wide the thing you are swinging and how tall, you know, it doesn't mean that we're going to make the opening exactly as high as this. So because we sandwiched inside the design, we've now decreased the width of what needs to swing in and out. So hopefully we don't have to build this hutch much taller than this. So I'm sneaking behind to grab my measuring tape, and I'm going to leave that kind of handy. And let's see what the swing looks like on this. All right, so I'm going to line it to kind of eyeball flush, you know, so it's about this amount of flush. It looks pretty flush, right, guys? All right, so all I'm going to do is prepare the tape measure. I have it locked already. And as it sits, this thing is... Oh, I left my glasses over there, so I'm on my eyeball as best I can here. I would say it sits at 38. Don't judge, people. And 3/8. So 38 and 3/8. So let's see what happens when I pretend to swing it in and out. And I'm gonna try and do this. I'm getting in my stance here, my swinging stance. What happens? Guys. we should be good with adding only like a 1/16 of an inch. I'm just seeing, especially that back corner, as it swings past the tape, what you want to do is measure the highest point of contact and then add a minimum of a 1/16 of an inch, you know. So there is debate among the cabinet making world about how much clearance you need between like a door and gaps and things like that. The most common is an 1/8 of an inch. Now, many people do a 1/16 of an inch. Me, I like the tighter gaps. So I try and go for a 1/16 of an inch, and then I can always sand down versus an 1/8 of an inch. Then sometimes it looks a little too gappy, you know. So we can do the same thing here because there is kind of a measurement boo-boo that I did do, which, you know, we're going to get into. So it looks like I should be able to cut everything at, you know what, to be safe, I could do like 38.5, and that will give me between a 1/16 and an 1/18 of an inch. So I'm going to measure the other side in case there's a little bit of a difference. And so you want to make sure you do this on two, you know, both sides, just in case, you know, even if you get everything square. All right, so we're still good here. And I think I might be a little bit braver. 3/8 of an inch would work really well here. It is so close, but I'm trying to think of like how brave I should be if I should play it safe. And just do 38.5. Because this side is like not even a 1/16 of an inch higher than the other side. So it is so close, people. Yeah, if I did 38.5 inches, then that's probably the best way to do it. Only because here's my other measuring boo-boo that I made. So here we go. Ugh. Let me read some of your guys' comments, and then I'll get into my measuring boo-boo. So, Dave Beck is saying, yes, the camera does not like to focus on shiny objects. I think that's it, too. I think that it gets a little confused. And Bill Fraser is saying a 1/16 of an inch should work very well. Of an H should work very well. And Dave Beck is saying, no judging, that's why God gave us long arms. Exactly. And an elbow. Very much so. So guys, what we can do is start at 38.5 inches, like I said, and get our frame done, right? And then after that, we can always go trimming the legs. Once we have like a window frame that this thing passes through really easily, then we can build the rest of the box. Now, because the length is really what we need to calculate, the width always stays the same. So I went ahead and pre-cut a top and a 3/4 inch bottom. So the whole box will be built out of 1/2 inch, and it'll have a 3/4 inch bottom. So let's start by building our face frame, which is going to be with our 1x2s. And let me see if I have a spare 1x2 here to kind of talk through what we're going to be doing. And that is a negatory. Not a 1? Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Ooh, I have 2, people. I have 2. Crawling up all behind you. All right. So let me just make sure. There we go. All right. So for our frame, we're going to be framing our cabinet here with 1x2s, just like we did here, but we did them kind of in a different orientation here than we're going to be doing here. Because if you recall, and this might be actually be simpler with the other view. Right? Yes. Yes. All right. So I'll stand on this side. All right, it's the crawling on the floor show day. So one of the like fortuitous things that I discovered was that this width right here is 1.5 inches. So I was like, okay, it would be nice to continue these lines, and once I filler all of this, you know, this will be seamless. And so it'd be nice to continue this 1.5 inch line up and around the cabinet, right? So what else is 1.5 inches? 1x2s. So the frame will go like this, then it'll connect like this, you know, in miniature form, go down there and finish off. So it should be seamless, and we'll paint it all the same color, and then our door will go in and out of here, our little folding table. So that's the idea. We're gonna cut this at 38.5 inches. We're gonna cut 2 of them. No, we're not. No, we're not, because look at the orientation that I'm doing this. Now, at 38 inches, well, by the time I put a 1.5 inch like that, well, we've just lost 1.5 inches. So I have to do 38.5 plus 1.5 because of this. So it sits a little higher and it will come through like this. Look, I say I was already gonna mess it up. You know, this measuring stuff goes a long way. I don't know, I'm thinking, I've debated whether to do more measuring, you know, for my projects. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So it's 38.5 plus 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is transfer us outside, and you'll be able to hear some cutting noises and stuff, but there's like no real mic out there. And then I'll come back and read your questions, and I'm going to do 2 pieces like that. And I might as well cut one of these pieces as well. So I'm going to have to dig out that measurement as well. I'll find it. So let's see here. Let me grab my notes and let me transfer you guys over here for a second, and let me grab all of my materials. All right, I'm just searching through my notes to see what the heck length I had cut the other one, or I can just measure to make life easy. Grabbing safety glasses back here, just making sure I got everything I need. My pencil. Let's see, I like to take outside more things so I don't have to keep coming back and forth. And all right, I like, some of you guys already did the math. Bill is like, it's 40. Yep, so we're gonna do 40. And see how that looks. So the wood is actually in the other room because we don't have room to store all the materials and do the projects and all the gear in this space. So you should see my entrance. It's like a construction zone looking thing. So let's see, coat. I'm gonna pop open the garage door so it'll get a little bit noisy. You might hear some wind noise and all that fun stuff. Let's see here. That is the scrapey garage door noise. All right, I'm going to now transfer you guys out there. Transferring. Star Trek teleportation. Engage. Yes. There we go. Now, hopefully I remember to plug things in this time. You know, it doesn't happen all the time. So, let's see. And before I go out there, I wanted to see what the heck length I had for these. And for, ooh, what am I? Okay. Actually, I'm going to transfer you guys back in here a sec. I'm just taking a measurement. It got cold out there. I don't want you guys to freeze or anything, you know. So I'll stick you out there when we're all ready to go. And so all I'm doing here is just kind of refreshing my memory. It was 21 1/8. Yes. So this measurement here is correct. All right, got these, got my pencil, got my safety glasses. I'm gonna bring out the wood and teleport you guys outside. Meet you there.
Alright guys, I will be teleporting you guys shortly, and teleportation complete. There we go. Alright. And Dave Beck is saying, Diva Construction Company. It's so true. Although, like, if any customers, like, saw the work situation, they'd be like, I don't think she's got many customers. Like, she's, like, working all up on the floor. What is going on here? And this show deserves an Emmy. Oh, my gosh. Oh, and yes, I had a ton of leaves out there that had collected just in the time that I had set up this morning. They love to collect on that thing, on my miter saw. And Dave Beckett, she's going to need a bodyguard with all that expensive wood out there. I know, I'm going to have to, like, bring it in. And last time we did woodworking outside, I swept up, like, right after the stream to leave no evidence, because if somebody were to see the wood dust, you never know. I mean, they'd be eyeing that up. They'd be like, we got to hit her house. She's got some nice juicy wood there. And Kuzer is saying, would you consider doing some of the trim on my woody wagon restoration? Oh, can't talk. Do you see the working conditions? It might come out. I'll gladly do it. I can't say that it'll come out 100% straight, you know. I will admit, for this project, I've done more measuring than I have my whole life. I think I'm making up for a lifetime of just, eyeballing it, you know. So we're gonna see if all that extra work paid off. And you guys saw me mitering several times. Sometimes if you draw your line too thick, you cut to the line, right? So it's correct. But when you measure, the thickness of your marker or your pen actually makes a difference, you know. So I started to bring that in just so everything perfectly matches up our folding door situation. So I'm holding this coat, you know, as if like I'm going to hang it somewhere, you know, like really? Seriously. Let me throw it on the steps. All right. And Kurt Benning is saying, wow, she can make a lot of money building homes for moms and dads and stuff if she wanted to. Yes. Well, you know, first we need actual 2x4s, which are back in stock. For a while, getting 2x4s even was pretty tough. For projects. And I remember doing our barbecue cart project. I was looking for Douglas fir 2x4s. You had to root through the whole thing and also
2x6s, 2x8s. They were all warped, crooked, and one of you, I think it was Ernesto, even noticed when we made our tabletop, some of the wood was still kind of like warped. And I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, go for it because everything was like picked through. So, all right. So the idea is I'm gonna hold one of these like this as I swing up and down our door, just to double check that everything is working out according to our evil plans. And let's see, put this guy here, and oh yeah, so the one measuring boo-boo I kind of didn't account for is that we have about, I think we're gonna end up with a 1/16 of an inch gap all around, because yes, I do like, you can always make them bigger. So that's kind of where I'm going. And normally I stain. I really like the look of stain. You can see that, you know, everything is pretty much stained, and stain doesn't really add any thickness, right? But paint does. And so I was looking at this and I'm like, ooh, my gaps all look pretty nice, you know, look at that. But by the time we paint this, depending on how many coats I put on, I might end up getting paint rubbage, you know? So I think one of the things I'm gonna do is, after we build our hutch, take every meeting or mating area and sand it down. Not too aggressively, but, you know, knock off a little bit of length there, you know, or width. Do the same thing here and the same thing here, and then the opening as well. That should increase that area and allow me to, you know, build up some of those paint coats without worrying of, you know, paint rubbage or anything like that. So let's see what's shaking here. And I'm gonna need a temporary piece up here like this. So, oh, I'm liking this. So if I hold it to meet, what does the gap look like? It looks like that. That's not bad. There's gonna be no gap except, you know, this gap here, but there's gonna be no gap where the table meets the dresser, because it's gonna be hinged, right? So there will be kind of a small gap here, and I think that's going to look really good. Let me just line this up, and for right now I'm leaving no gap on the vertical, just so I can line this up. I mean, I almost think we can go, I feel like taking this down just a little bit. Let's see if I can hold it as best as possible. Maybe if I clamp it. My hand clamp isn't working. Yeah, I'm almost feeling like taking it down just a hair, But one of the things we can do is go ahead and build that arch, right? Because we can always then take it back to the miter saw and saw a little bit off one foot and then another little bit off the other foot too, and be able to do it that way. So let's see if that'll work. But yeah, we're like darn. It's a little more gappy than I like. Let me see if I can measure it. All right, guys, I did it. All right, let me prep. I'm gonna try and measure this gap. If it's 1/8 of an inch, I'm not gonna mess with it. I kind of want to do that. All right. Okay. Oh, too much. Can I switch the foot? I'm insisting on not putting anything down. There we go. Now I will hinge the button with my foot. All right, it's saved. Igor, do your job. You're not going to get paid for this session. All right, who says Igor forks over his paycheck? I say I do. You're going to fork over your $0. All right, so I'm going to set this up. I don't like that. doesn't fit back. All right. I can do this. All right, in my head, this was like so much easier. But alas, people. All right. There. It is exactly like 1/8 of an inch, so I should probably leave it as is. Darn it! I wanted to take it down more. But yeah, it's 1/8 of an inch. I probably should leave it as is because by the time I paint, I'm probably going to be happy I did. So 40 inches, guys. Let's pocket hole screw these things together. So I'm going to put us on the floor after I put all this stuff kind of out of the way. One thing at a time. All right. Ooh. All right, I'm going to switch you guys cameras. Let's see here. Yep, people are laughing at this. This is better than reruns of Seinfeld. Oh my gosh. You need to hire a workshop assistant. I know, yeah, Igor's not doing too well. You know, I interviewed him and everything. He seemed to do well in his interview, but I think he kind of lied on his resume. You know, he said he was an active shop participant, and I don't know, like this is like pretty still there. Oh, and Sealview is here. And he's saying he showed up a little bit late, and what am I doing? Bounty Hunter is here, just popped in for a sec. Busy day at the office today, yeah. You can like put me like on mute, you know, in the background. Have like a tab open and keep peeking. I don't know, that's what I do sometimes. So I just left the garage door open. It's kind of quiet for now. If it's like too noisy, just let me know. I'll go ahead and close it. And so Sealview, along with the other Brazil peeps, I'm going to update them on what we're doing. Então, Silvio, eu estou construindo aqui uma mesa e umas pernas. Então, ela fica dobrada assim. Aí, quando você quer trabalhar, você, então, abre assim. Aqui é a mesa e aqui são as pernas. Então, é o pedaço de madeira que você está vindo aqui. Então, a gente já construiu isso. Então, agora o que a gente está fazendo é medindo a abertura. Assim, ele cabe. Então, quando ele sai para fora, aí ele entra de novo, assim ele não bate em cima. Então, a gente calculou tudo. Então, agora eu vou construir essa abertura. Aí, a gente vai construir o resto aqui do gabinete. Aí, a gente vai ver se funciona mesmo. All right, US peeps, I'm back. So, let's get our 40-inch piece, our 21 1/8 inch piece, and our other 40-inch piece. And we're going to start by making our face frame. And let me see how this looks for you guys. Probably should do it like that. All right, so I'm going to get my pocket hole jig, and I'll be right back. All right. Pocket hole jig. Here. I left everything I could possibly need on this workbench, so now I actually have to dig through piles to find it. So I don't know if that was like the move. And grab my glue. I can't do without my glue. And my pocket holes. I'll come back for clamps in a little bit, and I'm going to try and navigate my way back to you guys. And Silvio is asking if I want help here. Então, Silvio, sempre preciso de ajuda. Mas hoje eu tenho um ajudante aqui, a minha cadeira, o Igor, está me ajudando. Só que ele é meio, sabe, meio calado. Ele também não move muito. Então, quando ele me chamou e falou que eu quero esse emprego, ele falou que sabe fazer um monte de coisa. Até agora, tá fazendo nada. All right, so the idea is that we're going to make our face frame like this. Let's see, you guys can see that, you know, and obviously the legs kind of go out of view. So we want to pocket hole. Actually, we will not be pocket holing. we can probably just brad this together because it's going to go up against our cabinet. So we should probably move on to our cabinet and get those affixed, right? I mean, we might be able to kind of put a pocket hole on a 3/4 inch. It seems kind of thin. Normally I like to pocket hole my face frames together so that way there's no twisting, it adds more rigidity, but because I'm building them like this, I may forego it. I'll let you in on a little secret. So yes, pocket holing your face frames definitely adds rigidity and adds extra strength. But these face frames, see all these? None of them are pocket holed together. Why is that? Well, once this was on the floor here, there was literally no room to make a frame of this equal size and then put the frame on the piece. There was just no room. So what I had to do was individually brad nail everything together. And this thing has been a tank. Oh, it's been a tank. So I think that we're going to proceed with this brad nailing technology versus the pocket holing technology. We are going to be doing some pocket holing and some stuff that I hadn't done before, which is pocket holing 2 different thicknesses and see how that goes. You know, so there's a couple ways to figure that out. So with these pieces cut, we can go ahead and cut the side panels for our cabinet. So we've already cut the bottom, we've already cut the top because those distances are known. So it was just this vertical that we had to figure out. And what was the size again? 40 inches. So what I'm going to do is while I have you guys here on the floor with me, I'm going to grab one of these. And Silvio is like laughing at Igor here, useless Igor, and his blown up resume. All right. So what we're going to do is measure a panel that is 40 inches tall by our cabinet here is, where'd my measuring tape go? Our cabinet here is 16 inches in depth, exactly. You know, but we have to remember that we're going to have this face frame thing here, and this is 3/4 of an inches. So we have to minus 16. We have to take away 3/4 of an inch, and that gives us a depth of 15.25. And then we're going to put this little, you know, little face frame on him. So 40 by 15.25 is what we need here. And I think I might have pre-measured at least the 15. What the heck are these measurements? I don't even know, people. What was I measuring? This might have been for another project. Oh no, look. It says 15 1/4. So we know that, let me see if I can move back here for you guys. And also move this to the floor. So hold on. Gonna be part of my armpit. Part of my armpit. Hold your nose. Hold your nose. Got armpit. There we go. You guys can see. I'll just be headless for a bit. There we go. All right. So yes, we're gonna do some more cutting, but this time on the spooky table saw, of which I have no outfeed table. So it's quite interesting, that whole procedure. So went to adjust my light, it was rocking back and forth. So anyways, you'll see maybe like a little faint line going here, and that is our 15 1/4 line. So is it really, did I actually pre-measure this? Yes, I did. All right, so now we need to measure 40 inches. So let's see here. I'm gonna move this stuff towards Igor. Igor has been demoted to like tool holder. Just hold the tools. You know, like when you're helping your parents when you were little, and they're just like, yeah, here, just hold the tools. You know that probably you didn't do a good job. So it looks like I have no pencil to pencilize this. So I will be right back. And so I got my pencil and I got a speed square, and I'm going to grab one more thing. Actually, I can probably, I don't like to use 1x2s to draw straight lines because they're usually somewhat bowed. So, let's see here. I'll grab this. I know this isn't bowed. All right, guys. And I thank you for hanging in there with this kind of odd stream. Kind of like cameras and stuff everywhere. That's what starts to happen when we start to do bigger projects. You can already see some of the difficulties we start having. But listen, we manage, right? We manage. All right, so I'm going to do this at the 40 line here. Oh, lead might be helpful. At the 40. And I'm going to do another line here, just so we have something to connect. And this should evenly, I mean, theoretically this should work. This should work. So the idea is that I want to go ahead and connect our 40. See, there's a line here, and this originally was 32 inches when I knew that I wanted a 32-inch cabinet, and then I figured once I build the cabinet, I'll reverse engineer the table and the legs. I'm kind of glad I didn't do it that way because I think that would have been a lot of whoops cutting, and like, I didn't think of that, you know, type cutting. Let me just get one more measurement here. I'm kind of glad that we built our fold-out situation first, which is the most difficult portion to figure out. And then after that, we went ahead and figured out this opening. I think that was the much easier way to go than the other way around. So, it actually turning into a nice day. It's not so cold anymore. It was freezing earlier. Everything was like frosted. I don't know like where you guys all are at, but outside the Philly area here it's getting pretty cold. Bounty Hunter has a great idea. He said, karate chop it, save time. Might not be too clean though. Oh, you know, I'll take a non-clean cut, or, you know, for speed. That's half the time why I don't measure. Also, it adds a unique character when we don't measure. Yeah, okay. All right, so what the heck am I cutting? I have so many lines. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this line because I am so going to cut on it and it's going to be wrong. So let me delete this line. All right, so I'm cutting this square out here, and this will be extra. So one of the things that I do in looking at a panel when I cut it is looking at what's going to be extra, because I want to keep pieces that are more usable. So, you know, I can either cut this as a straight line or this as a straight line. I think I'm gonna do a panel like this first. So what we're gonna do is run this through the table saw first and cut this off. Then we're going to be left with this long piece. I'm going to go to the miter, I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to flip the board over and then finish the cut, because the miter can cut 12 inches. This is our 15¼ inch piece. So why not cut it on the table? The saw table, which is probably easier, yes, but because I don't have an outfeed table, when you cut long pieces like this, they start to want to wobble because there's not enough table to hold it. So you're fighting the wood, you're fighting the blade. Normally I like to fight one person. If you're going to get in a big fight in an alley, hopefully it's just with one person and not two. So I'm going to keep the fight down to increase my chances of winning. So we're going to do this at the miter, which is not ideal, but definitely more safe than trying to wiggle it through the table saw. So I'm going to meet you guys outside. Again, Headless Rachel. And I don't think I'm even going to take a coat. I am going to take this guy just to double measure, you know, our dimensions here. And we are going to have to cut 2 of them. So you know what? Why don't I save my time and take 2 boards with me? So let me just repeat the same measurements here a sec. And Sylvia from Brazil feels bad. He's like, I wish I could help you more so you're not like doing all this. And I'm like, Sylvia, don't worry. All right, so let's get our 40s on. Let's get our 40s. All right. Did you guys see my pencil? Oh, here it is. That's part of like the worst in a small shop. You would think in a big shop you lose stuff. Oh my gosh, in a small shop, do things go disappearing on you. Oh my gosh, they hide in little nooks and crannies. And you're like, I know I didn't put you down there, but I don't know how you got all up in there. I'm going to use this as a guide. And get my 40s on. Get my 40s. Yeah, we got all kinds of jigglage here. We got USB jigglage. We got wood jigglage. As Dave is pointing out, we're about to get wood jigglage now. And Silvio is wanting to come in and help. Então, Silvio, mas ajuda é sempre uma coisa boa, sabe? Porque o projeto vai mais rápido dessa maneira. Mas, tendo vocês dando comentário, dando dica, também ajuda muito. Assim eu não faço erros, e aí eu tenho que fazer tudo de novo. Então todo mundo pondo o cérebro junto nesses projetos ajuda bastante. Então, gosto que vocês estão tudo aqui. E também eu não fico sozinha. Tem gente pra conversar, contar história. Okay, so I have 20 by 40. I'm just going to make sure, because you know, you get to talking and sometimes you whoops. That happens a lot here. All right, so I'm going to take both of these boards out and do my thing. And take this a little bit in case I just have to, you know, shimmy some of the measurements. And now for reals, I'm going to send you guys out there. For reals this time. Teleportation, engage. Oh, I'm gonna have to move that table saw into view, so I'll be sure to do that. And here we go. I'm just maneuvering these two pieces of wood. I'm gonna go out the other way. I can't just go out the garage door because of all the gear. Makes it a little bit tough. I know I'm gonna knock something down. So, I'll be right back, guys. Meaning outside. Bush assistant. Just getting an idea of how that looks. I don't have a manner of knowing. You guys see my bush assistant out there? Now I have a stool assistant and a bush assistant. That's awesome. some stuff out of the way. All right. So, if you guys saw that last piece going through the table saw, you can see how difficult it is when you don't have an outfeed table, especially when you're dealing with a size that's big. So right at the end, it whooped, and cracked the end. So the other side that I had marked to cut off for 40 inches is on the other side. So I'm going to do a quick remeasure to move that waist section to the side where I cracked the tip, and then no one will ever know. So let's see. Board boo-boo. Yes, indeed. That is exactly what happened. And Dave is saying my 3D printer just finished an Arduino case. I'll post it up on Discord. Awesome. Look at Rachel leaving money on the lawn. Exactly. I'm like throwing money on my lawn, like, you know, like I just don't care, just to flaunt to everyone. I'm like, look, I am wood rich, people. So I'm just gonna go out there. I wanted to come back and grab my pencil, and I probably might as well take this guy too and remark the 40 on the other side. And, you know, then no one will ever know it ever happened. And I think that's about it for our wood cutting. And then we're going to start putting everything together. All right, so I'm going to teleport you guys back out. We might have the trash company coming, so it's going to be big trash sounds, you know, although, like, the mic is backwards, so you might not hear it. Maybe I'll turn it this way. See if you guys, give you guys some fine trash can action noises, you know, sound effects as I'm cutting and things. All right, so back at it, teleporting you guys. Where's the teleport button? Here it is. Engage. room for a while, so I'm gonna teleport you guys, get you guys some fresh air a little bit. And Bounty Hunter's right, do not forget your tape measure, so I'm going out for that. I don't know what's more precious, that or the wood. Weaving my way in here. I'll turn the mic to this direction in one moment. Probably sounds a little weird, like I'm so far away. Just turning the mic here. And there we go. That's probably a lot better. Yeah. And Bounty Hunter is saying, I love the smell of sawdust in the morning. And Dave is laughing. Hamburger Hill? Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. All right, so what are we doing? We are assembling our cabinet now. We have our sides and we have our, bottoms. There's a bee in here. Oh, I'm going to show you guys. Let's see if he'll... Oh, now he's shy. All right, so if you see me totally running away and ditching you guys, it's because there's a bee here. Like, I will ditch you guys for two reasons only. One, spider. Two, bee. So he is kind of flying around. Maybe I'll crack open the garage just a little bit in case he decides he wants to leave, you know? So, and I like how they hover low, right in the area that we're gonna be working. So I'm gonna grab some scrap 1/2 inch plywood because normally we drill in through the 1/4 inch, through the 3/4 inch plywood. So all of my jig stuff is set up for 3/4 of an inch. Oh, he's liking the light. So 3/4 of an inch, and now we're working with 1/2 inch. But remember, unlike plywood, where I'm gonna be like dive bombing and stuff. Unlike our 3/4 inch plywood, where the thickness is really 3/4 inch, depending on the type of wood, oak, maple, birch. Oak and maple tend to be a truer 1/2 inch. Birch tends to be a little bit skinnier. So if we set everything for 1/2 inch, most likely it's gonna blow through. So that's the theory that we're gonna test, and we're gonna set our jig on some scrap pieces of paper to get the perfect length that it doesn't blow through. So I'm just gonna grab, oh, it just went right by my face. All right, all I'm doing now is grabbing our scrap pieces of our victim wood, as I call it. They're going to be a victim to a lot of drilling. And some Craig screws. Go away, bee. Go away. Nobody's interested in you. Bye-bye now. All right, so I think I have most of them. Go away. All right. The bee heard that there was like an opening in the shop, and the bee was like, your bush helper out there is lame, and Igor stool is lame. I'll help. You know, I'm like, you're welcome, but keep the stinger on your behind. Keep it on the behind. Do not be putting it, all up in my arm. Oh, he's like totally jamming at the door trying to get out. Oh, Bounty Hunter saw it. Yeah, bee looking to pollinate. Yeah, I must smell like a honeysuckle or sawdust. Maybe they have a thing for sawdust. They're like, ooh, nature, woods, So I'm gonna put you guys in the foot cam. There we go. So here's our 2 1/4-inch pieces, and you see that I started kind of like playing around with some settings. So normally if this were a true half inch, then we would be just setting our jig here to 1/2 inch, just like that. It's set now to 1/2 inch, and I experimented with different settings on the jig as well as different settings on our collar, you know. So if you look at the little my kit comes with this little guide here, and you can see the numbers on this side right here. And the way you set this, for those of you that have never done it, is you set this so it lays flush, and then you push the collar up to meet the number that you're using. Now obviously this is not sitting flush because I had set it to 1/2 inch and it blew through. So I made the collar a little bit shorter so this doesn't drill as far in. And let's see how that works. Now for this, we're going to be using a 1-inch screw. Normally for 3/4 inch, we're using a 1 1/4 inch. Pardon my armpit. Pardon my armpit. Hold your nose. There we go. And Bounty Hunter saying fancy pocket hole jig. Yeah, this one's the R3. It's a great little beginner one. It's like about $30. You know, it comes with a kit. It comes with some, you know, different screws and things. So they make really nice jigs, but for the amount of woodworking that I do, I figured, I don't think we really need it. So normally you would drill pocket holes here in the end and connect, you know, like this. We're going to be connecting these in all kinds of weird ways just to see if we get blow through. So pardon the wrong wood grain, you know, in some of these instances. We just want to make sure that we don't blow through. And let me make sure I got my 1-inch screw. And you're going to notice that the 1-inch, some of these smaller screws, this one's a coarse screw. It's actually easier to see on the cap. Your typical 1 1/4 inch has kind of like this washer type head, and the 1-inch and below tend to have more of this pan head look to it right there. And we definitely want to stick with coarse screws. Now you can always downgrade through a 3/4 inch screw, but I could not find a coarse, only a fine, and that's not going to have enough bite. So I'm sticking with the 1-inch, and by changing around these settings, trying to find some kind of drilling situation that works for both of us. So I got the drill, and let's get to drilling pocket holes. I always check my head for glasses first because that's usually where they tend to go or tend to be. And let me grab a clamp for this pocket hole situation. I'll be back. Oh, right here. And I was just looking at my computer for a sec because an error message came about, and I was like, no, please say the stream isn't stopped. But it looks like it's still going. So let's see, it looks like I was drilling all my pocket holes on this this guinea pig right here. So I'm going to continue drilling on him. And I got another splinter. He's gone. All right, so since we're going to be building on the floor, it's a little awkward here doing these pocket holes on the floor, but we'll see how it works so I don't have to clear the table, you know. And they don't have to be 100 like crazy pretty looking. It's just to see if we're going to get some blow through. So let's see if this setting works. All right. So here I go. I'm just going to pick a hole and go for it. We're going to make a huge mess on the floor, so I might just kind of sweep this to a corner over there, and then I'll take care of it later. So we build on a clean, non-crunchy floor. So here's our pocket hole right there, and this is set to like a hair less than 1/2 inch on our guide. And let's try and put a pocket hole screw through here. Get my little 1-inch. And test this out. everything's in front of me, but I still can't find it. It's one of those days. So first thing I'm going to do before trying to join two boards together is see how far this thing goes. Like if we were to drill it until it seats, see how it's coming out? So one of the things we want to make sure when setting it is that it's coming out the exact middle. Might be a little bit tough for you guys to see maybe if I hold it this way, but if you look, it's pretty much, it's angled down the way it's supposed to, but where it originates from the wood and out is the middle. So okay, that so far so good, and we can see how much of it is going to screw into the other piece. So if I were to hold the other piece close by, like that, it gives you an idea of what the penetration would be. So I'm cheating and I'm looking at it so I can see, you know, if we're good. And yeah, I mean, I think any more than that, we're gonna really get really close. So you can see that it's more than 75% right there, see? So let's now blow it through and see what happens. So I'm gonna back this out just a little bit. All right, and I'm going to put this piece and, you know, maybe clamp it just so it doesn't go anywhere. Just seeing that you guys can see this and you can't. Now you can. So here's our screw here, and I'm just going to go ahead and see if we get any blow through. And I'm going to take it slow. This is a 1/2 inch material. And when it seats, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to, you know, go nuts and try and overdrive anything. And just putting my finger, it seems like it's pretty good. And a decently, look, I'm pulling it. That's pretty strong. So I think we found keeping this for birch material where it is 1/16 of an inch thinner than 1/2 inch. I found that keeping the jig at 1.5, and then it's experimentation. I started our drill at 1.5, and then I started making it shorter and shorter. But I would say no more than 1/8 is what I budgeted. It might have even been 1/16. Just, you know, in case you guys try and do the same thing using the same material. Now the other materials, maple and oak, I didn't have enough sheets for, you know, and I didn't want to start mixing and matching birch and maple and then having to try and remember which one is the true 1/2 inch and which one is like the not so much 1/2 inch, you know. So I figured I might as well go like err on one way or the other, but at least make it all the same. So I'm going to back this precious screw out because I'm going to use it. He is not waste. All right. And let's start drilling pocket holes for our bottom and our top pieces. Now I'm going to start with the top piece because we're going to have to change the settings again for the bottom piece, because remember the bottom piece is 3/4 inches and we're going to be drilling a thinner 1/2 inch piece into that. So we're going to have to mess around and do a couple more tests. But our first test here went pretty successful. I'm going to put this somewhere where I won't lose it. You know, these bits, you know, they go wandering off on you. So let's see here. I'm just going to put him down. And Jim Frozen is saying that the fine threaded will work. Just put some glue in the hole. That's not a bad idea. Usually for a lot of these more fragile ones, and especially piano hinges, I like to put a little glue on the screw as I put it in there, so that way it's in there really, really good. And so those are nicely glued and screwed. And then on here, the hinge is going to go into here. Now it looks like it's got a piece of wood, then particle board, and then a little bit of wood. So the nails or the screws that come with the piano hinges are 1/2 inch long. So that's perfect for this 3/4 inch material, but because we're dealing with some MDF particle board stuff, I just hate putting hinges on that stuff, because after, if you sit there and pull it and you're not paying attention, it starts to get loose. So what I'm going to do is swap out the 1/2 inch screws that connect to the base here for 1 inch screws. I'm going to see if I can find some nice 1 inch ones that will go deeper, and hopefully we won't have that problem. So let's grab our pieces, which are, I think, behind me. And Gordon's here! Awesome! So let's start with our top piece, which is this guy right here. And we might as well just get him prepared. So what I'm going to do is drill pocket holes going this way because it's going to connect to our piece right there. And so this is the top and this is the bottom. This thing is upside down. So we want to connect these two pieces together like that. So I'm going to drill pocket hole screws and then connect them all. So I'm going to start with one in the middle and then probably put, you know, one, two, three, four, five pocket hole screws. So let's do it. And I'm not going to go so crazy measuring. I mean, the idea, oh, and you can decide whether you want your pocket holes to be on the inside. So when you look up at the cabinet, you see them on top. Now in our case, we're going to be filling them in. So it really doesn't matter if it's like inside or outside. What I also like to do is, you know, for cabinets like these guys here, where ain't nobody going to be seeing whatever's up there. And you're going to stain and you don't want all these plug holes and things because the filler never stains as well as like true wood. So you can always kind of see where people have filled in their little holes, you know, unless you use a plug. Then it's a lot more seamless, tougher to tell. So in that case, oftentimes I like to put it on the outside. So we would pocket hole the other side of this and go in from the top. So when this flips over, all the pocket holes are on top anyways, and you can fill them, you can not fill them, totally up to you. But let's get to pocket hole drilling. All right, and I haven't seen the bee in a while. I think that the bee has hopefully found his way outside. So let's see here. I'll clamp him down. And you know what? Maybe working on something like this might be good. Instead of on the, at least for the pocket hole portion of this whole thing. Pocket hole up here. And let's see if this view is better. Instead of the foot view, can you guys see what's going on here? Yeah, kind of. Let's see if I shift this a little bit right there. That way I can at least clamp onto it and it won't be like all wobbly and stuff. So we'll put one here. All right. Let me switch to the drill, or the drill bit. So Sylvia was saying, Rachel, you're real intelligent. I'm impressed by your capabilities. Well, it's more trial and error, you know. Listen, I err more than I succeed. So, and I think that's kind of where you make the biggest leaps and bounds in being able to build stuff, you know. And I think doing it live with all of you guys has almost kind of like egged me on a little bit to do and tackle tougher and tougher things, and things, especially like this folding thing. To be honest, I didn't know if it was going to work. You know, we could have come up with prototypes and it just doesn't fold right. And it's kind of like, you know, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly. It was good in theory, but in practicality, it just didn't work. You know, the Fly was kind of ugly and had problems. That whole experimentation. But you know, luckily we have The Fly moments. Don't get me wrong, but we get through it. So this is kind of center. You know, we'll go for it. Okay. It's mostly center. And then I'll do one kind of up here. Not too close to the edge, but close enough. I noticed that when you drill, it goes in really easy until your drill bit hits kind of the clamp area where the clamp is pushing downward force. Then you gotta really put in some oomph to your drilling. guys, what do you want? Top side pocket hole screws or inside pocket hole screws? I'll leave that to you. Dum dum dum. Sometimes the outside ones are a little bit easier. We got mostly evenly spaced pocket hole screws, and it's gonna make a bit of a mess, so I am just going to, you know what, there's a trash can right outside. I'll be back. I'm just gonna put that there. Bring this in with me. There we go. I'll put it right here where you guys can't see. Carl Jims is saying Rachel Fly? No, don't go there. That movie is hard to watch. I'm a big Jeff Goldblum fan, so I'll watch me my fly. But yeah, like the effects, especially for that time, like the makeup effects and the prosthetics, it was just gruesome. I thought that was like, you know, I watched it when I was much younger and I thought, ew, that was so scary. It's awesome. All right. I'll rock through these here. And then we might as well do the base cabinet too. That way we're all pocket holed up. Two more to go. One more. All right, let's see if we can put this mess in the trash. The Bounty Hunter is saying he really liked American Werewolf in London for the transformation effects. Oh my gosh, you are so right. That's a great movie. To me, it still holds up today. They tried to remake it. It was good, you know, but man, that original one was amazing. And that they built that transformation sequence, but it was great. The story was great. His like hideous friend was awesome. Yeah, American Werewolf in London is definitely a rewatch. And then Silvio is saying, let's see here. Silvio is saying, there's Brazilian blood in your veins. We're real creative. Yep. Oh yeah. The Brazilian people definitely make work with what they got do, or make do with what they have. Yes, make do with what they have in creative ways. That's very true. Muito verdade, Silvio. A gente faz com só o material que a gente tem na casa. A gente constrói umas coisas legais. All right, so I'm going to move this. No, I'm not going to move it out of the way. So now that we have our pocket hole scenario going on, we're going to go ahead and repeat this on our 3/4 inch board, which means we have to, like, you know, figure some stuff out. Now, I'm going to put you guys on the floor cam here. Get on the floor, that way we all get messy together. So I probably should have done that for this stuff. I'm just gonna kind of scooch it out of the way. So what I'm gonna do is grab a piece of 3/4 inch board that we can kind of test our stuff on. It can be like our little guinea pig here. Here's a piece here. And this is when I was testing out different various stains. So you can see that for the cabinets in the back, they had this cool, like the longer you leave it, the more it kind of barn yard ages, you know, your wood there. So it's kind of a stain, kind of not. And then this darker stain, which is obviously what I ended up going with. I love dark stains, but not too dark, just dark enough to really show off that nice grain. So now that the testing is done, so this is going to be our bottom piece, and this is going to be our cabinet piece, you know, coming down like this. So if at all possible, normally what you want to do is drill the pocket holes in your thin piece, so that way it goes into the thicker piece. That is the ideal. We are not kind of doing the ideal. We would normally mount it like that in order to do it, right? On top. Well, in my situation, I have the piece sandwiched like this. So I already cut it like that, and I was like, darn, I actually didn't know that. It's not bad to do it this way. It is just better to do it this way, you know, when you're connecting two different thicknesses. So we're going to go with this, and we're going to draw a pocket hole to screw into here. So we're going to, normally the rule is you set everything for the smallest piece of wood. But sometimes you have to experiment beyond that. And so we're going to stick with our 1-inch screw. And let's see, we can try the settings that we already have and see what we get. Like, how much will it go into here? So before we change anything, let's just try that first. And Gordon is saying, oh, so we were saying that's right about Brazilians. Oh, new follower. So we have Rambler Hairline. Welcome. So if I haven't been catching your alerts, it's because you guys are over there for this stream. I do have another monitor that I'm going to be working on setting up during the holidays, so that way, like, I have commentary more everywhere, so I don't have to keep, like, giving you guys side eye. So hey, Rambler, welcome. We are building a hutch here. So that way we can fold in a folding table and legs, you know, so we got off all of our measurements, and we are about to test fit using pocket holes on 2 different thickness materials. So let me go ahead and drill pocket holes set at 1/2 inch because I'm basically not changing any of the settings until, that's a piece of metal, you know, until we do this test. So let me clamp this together, and I think I'm going to go back to the table here because it was so much easier drilling pocket holes up here rather than wobbling on the floor. And then we'll go on the floor. That way we're like, up, we're down, we're up, we're down. So, let's see. Whoa. All right, I'm gonna have to hold that. A little heavy. All righty. Draw a pocket hole. All right, our test pocket hole is done. My hope is to be able to, the webcams are nice and stuff, but it would be nice to have an overhead cam, like camera, in the floor area so I can zoom in and stuff, just like, you know, just like we do on the tabletop. Oh, and what is Gordon saying? Gordon is saying, or Silvio is saying, it's true, you know, he does it at home, meaning using what he's got and making the best of it. Gordon is saying, I had a feeling you were Brazilian. I have 3 exchange student daughters. That's awesome. Oh, and they're from Brazil as well. And Dave Beck is saying, better giving him the side eye than the top eye. Very true. So yes, little by little we are improving, and I'd like some of your guys' ideas on mics, you know, so we can do more projects outside. I don't mind working in the cold. That's never bothered me. So first I'm going to drive in a screw just to see how much it pokes out and to find out if it's coming kind of out of the middle of this board, or middle-ish, as middle as we can get it. And oh, I forgot to switch you guys down here. So now you're getting top head, Rachel. Now you're gonna get on the floor. There we go. So. Yeah, because it's kind of tough without like bionic guys. I'm like, what are you saying? What are you guys saying over there? All right, so let me grab one of these screws. Let's see kind of what it looks like. And I'm just driving it till it seats. Not going too nuts with it. All right. So looking at it, guys, it's coming out not so middle. Look at that. It's a little bit on the top, I think. Not quite great. And I'm just doing this with the board. Oh, that's a better angle. So it's almost in the middle, but it's a little more towards the top. So I'm wondering, too, then if we compare at how much this would have gone through. I mean, it does go through a decent amount. That's kind of nice. So, see if I can do that so you guys see how much of the, wrong way, of the screw goes through. So that's pretty good. So, I just wish it were coming out the bottom a little bit more. So I'm wondering if we adjust. I'd rather not adjust the collar, but what if we try then setting the jig at 3/4 instead of a half? Let's not mess with the collar because it'll be tough to get it back where it's positioned. I could try and mark it, you know, but it still won't be exact. So I went from a half. You can see now the arrows are at 3/4 now. So let's see how that works. And let's switch up again. Well, Rambler has a point. He says this tip of the screw is in the middle, right? It is, but it's more about where the screw comes out of. So that to me is acceptable. If the 3/4 inch new setting doesn't work, I might actually just kind of go with this. And before we go nuts, we should actually just try and attach the piece and see what kind of strength hold we get. So Rambler's like, you're getting ahead of yourself, right? Let's test this stuff first. That's a good idea. So let's see. Test this. So I'm going to back this out. Plus I use the monitors when I'm in these positions to see what you guys see. So to make sure I'm not like screwing over here. Yeah, see how I did that, guys? So that's why you constantly see me looking there. So what are we doing? Oh yes, so I'm gonna clamp these two boards together like this. And let's just see if this kind of work. No, not enough clampage. Let me go get my bigger clamp. I'll be right back. Just short. No. Our test piece is far too big. I'm actually going to grab 2 clamps already, knowing what is to come. All right. Knowing what is to come. And Gordon is saying, yeah, with glue, I think it'll be okay. So a couple people are thinking I'm okay. And Silvio is asking if I'm going to put what kind of finish I'm doing with this. So after all is said and done, this is going to be all puttied flush. We want that mid-century modern look where the surfaces are all straight. No like crazy decor or anything like that. And I'm going to paint the frame kind of a 1950s glossy blue. Some kind of blue that's kind of teal leaning, I think. And then the drawers will be painted white. But guys, I found, what if we added like a 1950s retro kind of like contact paper with a design? So I looked everywhere for an atomic age type of design, you know, with like the little planets, the little atoms, you know, that kind of thing. Couldn't find it. Or anything that's going to arrive here before Thanksgiving. And I kind of would like to get this done before Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of stuck with like just mid-century modern designs, which are really pretty. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm just going to do this to make my life easier. So I've ordered that. And so the table, all the fold-out pieces are going to be white, and they may be covered, portions of them, in this mid-century modern type of paper. We'll see. And the rest will be like a glossy 1950s blue. So, oops, wrong way. All right, so question 1, did we get blow through? No, we did not. No blow through. I mean, that's not bad. Carl James is saying cerulean blue. Ooh, I'll look that up. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with your guys' suggestions that with glue, I think I'm going to be okay. Because the most important thing is when we put these side by side, we saw that the penetration on the little board was pretty good. Any adjustments to get it to go more, we probably would have gotten cracking and blow through here. So I'm going to keep this, you know. And of course with one pocket hole screw, you do get some like twisting like that, but we'll have more. So let's go ahead and fire up our pocket holes on the real piece now that we've measured everything out and this whole thing works. And if I believe correctly, this was set to 1/2 inch. So let me reset it to 1/2 inch. All right. And where's our real piece? He's hiding. He's like, no, get me away from this project. This woman, she's going to ruin me. So I'm just going to get these test pieces out of the way because I will no doubt get confused and attach them to something they should not be attached to. Things are falling. What's rolling? Oh. I won't need this guy anymore. All right, piece, where are you? Victim. Oh, there you are, right here. All right. So we'll get our pocket holes done up here. So I'm going to shift you guys. There we go. And Bill, yes, Bill was reminding me that I changed my settings on my jig. So thank God we got a second layer of like, don't forget this. So, okay, that is changed back to 1/2 inch. And Gordon is saying, Mike Holmes always says, glue it and screw it. Most definitely. So, yes, between Rambler, Gordon, Bill, and Dave, and Silvio, and all of you guys, we're getting this. We're getting through this. All right, so let me grab this and this clamp. And then for the actual construction of this, I might move some of this stuff out of the way so we have room. And kind of the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and now you'll notice that this is cut most definitely shorter than 15 1/4, and that's because the table's going to come in a little bit. Remember, we need room for it to fold, and if it folds on top of this, well, now you're adding 3/4 of an inch thickness, you know, to the height of our table. So we want to keep it, you know, as low as possible. So hence why this one is cut a little bit short. And let's see, what's middle? It looks pretty middle-ish to me. A little middle-ish. And just checking that we are back at 1/2 inch. Yep. You know, you have one of those moments where you're just like, especially when you get to talking and reading comments and you're like, oh, I forgot to do this. All right, so I thought we wouldn't need our bit, but I forgot. We got more to drill. More to drill. Ooh, I caught it. Look how graceful I am. Not. And so Silvio is saying, it's looking good. It's looking good, the evolution of this project. Obrigado, Silvio. Agora, gente, depois disso, a gente vai começar por tudo junto. Vamos ver que dá. All right, and again, I may not see all those on-screen alerts that come on because the monitor is not like right in front of my face like it normally is. I'm going to put one on the end here, and I'm going to do 5 again, 1 in the middle, 2 on each side, and then 1 in the middle of each of those. Getting a little bit dusty. So that way this thing sits flush. I like to kind of dust it off. All right, let's move to the other side. And I'm going to just pour in the dust into our trash can so it's less for us to clean up before we start building these cabinets. And everything falls in a little shop. Most stuff end up on the ground. And Bounty Hunter is like, do you like to hear that clamp squeaking? Nope. It definitely does need grease. This one and all of them. Actually, the 2 black ones are still doing good. But yeah, this one needs to. It needs a little bit of love. That's for sure. So, let's rock through these here. It's about center. Whoa! The clamping force wasn't enough. It started to slide around. Really clamp it down. No slideys for you. Squeak, 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 squeak. Squeak, squeak. People are gonna be like, that Rachel, she got like mice in her shop. Do you hear all that little squeaking going around? It's like, no, it's just my tools. All right, 2 more. That's about center. Squeak it, squeak it, squeak. It's like, put it on mute. Okay, 1 more. And I'll be reading your comments. All right. Let me clean up a little bit. All right. And 1 more. Since the trash can is right next to your comments, let me back up here. Bill's like, yeah, that needs grease. Yeah, for sure. And Bounty Hunter is saying, well, if you use the clamp release, it would allow for setting the clamp up close to, and then you just have to squeeze once or twice. Yeah, my release just like releases the hounds and it just flies all the way down. Anthony is saying if you put a rubber band bridging the gap between your top and bottom claw, it will become spring loaded and you won't have to pump so many times. Ooh, that's a good idea. And Bounty is like just trying to save your hands from all the extra squeezing. Yeah, it's like if you do woodworking, you definitely don't need the stress ball. Oh no, it's like the clamp is your own stress ball, but that's a great idea about the release that Bounty Hunter was talking about, and the rubber band that Anthony's talking about. So those are some good ideas. All right, people, we got our wonderful pocket holage here, and let's start putting this together. And I think what I'm going to do is put the top so it's all 1/2 inch, and then we'll put it on the bottom. So I'm going to shove all this stuff aside so we have a lot of room to work. And I'm going to switch you guys. I'm going to put you on the floor with me here. And so first, I'm going to lay this down and get him all the way. And I'm going to put back on the desk things we don't need, like this jig and this bit. We're keeping the drill though, but the jig is up. There we go. I'm here all day, peeps. All right, so we have clamps. We certainly are not going to need this. We're probably going to need this a lot. And we're going to need our screws. We're not going to need our little Craig kit. So this is the piece we're going to start with. We got our glue. And I'm going to shove our stool assistant here, which has been no help. And I'm going to put this guy where I can find him. All right. So the objective is to try and get these to all hook up at 90-ish degrees. I say 90-ish because we're going to do the best we can. So this little Allen goes with this. So we certainly don't want to lose this guy. I hate having to try and find like the replacement little Allen key. There. So let's prep the glue. Oh, it's crustied on. Let me go plier it open. It's crustied on. All right, so pardon me, peeps. Pardon me, I'm just getting by you and origamiing myself past all this other stuff piled up here. We got little shop syndrome. There we go. I just popped open our glue, and now I'm just going to clean the crusties. All right. And Bounty Hunter saying, yeah, a plethora of pocket holes. Yeah, we got a plethora. We have Toshiaki looking very nice today. This is our shopware. And soon I won't, as we start to get sweatier and sweatier. And let's see here. There we go. It's a lot of pocket holes for this type of piece. But I figure it's going into a 1/2, so, you know, maybe the more the merrier. So let's see the best way to do this. And maybe we should try putting these guys on the outside, which means one of these pieces here is going to sit. Let me actually put the drill bit in here so it's ready. Move this kind of into position, because once I get going, you know, I'm one person, so it gets tough kind of shifting everything around. So the idea is that we're going to put this like this, right? And we're going to try and get them as 90 degree as possible. And then I'm going to pocket hole screw up in this direction. Now, one thing to keep in mind, which hasn't super affected my builds, is that from this direction to that direction, we do have a 4-inch drop. Now, I've tried things like building on top of a plywood platform that is shimmed. I've tried, you know what, I've built on this floor. It's straight enough for my purposes. It hasn't been bad. And especially if we're building with the short side versus the long side, then it feels more of the drop. This, you know, doesn't feel it as much. And even if you look at your own camera view, you see that the floor isn't 100% straight. Actually, no, it's very close to straight because I cheated and I lifted one of your guys' legs so you wouldn't tell. That way you're not watching the whole show kind of like tilted. Like, what the heck? I feel like I'm in Willy Wonka land. So the idea is to get this flush and at a perfect 90. And so what you're not going to see back here is me using this speed square here just to kind of help me position it. But before I do all that, let's glue up. And one thing I may ask of our chair here And I'm going to remove these. This is like total Final Destination waiting to happen right here. Is my number up? So put these here, and Igor's stool is going to come and help me. Finally, right? It's about time, people. I'm going to hold this just so I can do that. And I'm going to start by gluing this side, and I'm going to put these screws over here. So, where you be at, glue? And Bounty Hunter is saying, Gordon's like, yep, sanding will fix it. Oh, Gordon, more times than you can imagine. Oh, yeah, well, there will definitely be sanding this project. Only because I'm going to be filling and sanding all the seams, so that way everything looks like one piece. Even the tables and the legs that we put those frames on for strength and rigidity, they'll be getting sanded as if one piece as well. So I'm just going to mock this up and just kind of, you know, they're kissing right now. They're getting to know each other. And I'm going to put one clamp here at the bottom. Just like that. Start clamping clamperoo. Oh, no. Igor. Hold it. Igor, do your job. And with the glue, it likes to like slip-a-roo all over the place. And I try and get on the clamp the feet to grab on pretty much in the same place, because if it grabs onto the wood on one set of the foot and then on the other, sometimes you get a little bit of twisting. So just a little bit here to help me out. It's very lightly clamped, so that way I can check out what's going on. And this is where it would be awesome to have like an overhead camera so you guys see, you know, kind of like what I'm doing back here in my cubby hole. Who knows, I could be having like a disco party and there's like a disco ball back here and everything's awesome. All right, this is nowhere near 90. So I'm going to flip this tail out to you guys just to get it a little more 90-esque. Yep, that's more 90-esque. And get this, it twisted a little bit. All right, we got good 90, and I'm going to now really start clamping that. Still got our 90. Igor, do your job. Okay, and that's nice and flush. So I'm going to start by driving this center screw in here and then these sides, because once that's anchored, we're good to go. So this will be kind of odd. Yeah, I didn't think this through. This is going to be a very odd angle. So I might have to come out on the other side with you guys. So watching the square, I'm going to start by defogging my glasses. So. And Carl's saying, if there's going to be a party, there should be silly string. Yes. And a giant spider with red flickering eyes. All right. So. And sometimes I like to wait a little bit and let the glue tack up just a bit, because that kind of is like a third helper. Much better than Igor. And the nice thing is when you know you're going to paint, you don't have to worry as much about glue overspill. I'm way more picky about that if I know I'm going to stain. All right. And so this is wanting to separate, which we all knew that was going to happen. So I'm going to put a clamp here. I was hoping I wouldn't have to, only because it's like all up in my way now. But let's put a top clamp, clamperoo. Clamp party. All right, Igor. All right, that is nice and square on my side. And all flush. All right, let's see if that helps our situation, which it should. Here we go. I'm gonna put my hand right here so it'll blow through right on it. I'm kidding. All right. And I'm going kind of slow because I want to make sure I stop at the, you know, it stop. And you see that squeeze through of the glue means you're good. So I'm going to check my, my straightness, because we have the screw in the middle. It still allows us this type of movement if you see that this board has moved back or forward. And that's one of the reasons I like starting with the one in the middle. There's still time to salvage your mistake, you know, when that happens. So I'm going to try and do that guy, because that guy's going to be kind of a tough guy to get. I might have to go in like this. And I'm going to go in slow with him as well. And I have no leverage. All right. So far, no blow through. Everything looks and feels great. Now, I still see no funky business. I'm going to keep going. We're still 90 here. And I'm holding the speed square with my knee just to kind of help things out. There we go. And we got 2 more. Guys, we're rocking this Hutch. Once one is done, it starts to become easier to do the other side. Okay. So the only thing that I'm going to do on my own is put the backing panel on this. The reason we're not doing it now is it'll make it much easier to attach the whole folding mechanism if I can crawl in from behind. The other thing we have to think about is when this thing folds back, what is going to hold it in its place from falling out, you know? So I think I'm going to put a little clasp, you know, at the top to clasp it, but what's going to prevent it from falling back? I do have a wood stopper block that stops it, but we might want to put at the top of the cabinet some stopper block wood, so that way it folds back and boom, it hits it and we're good. So I got them all done. We're good there. And then with the clamps on, I'm just going to try and move this now so we can work on the other side here that you guys can't see. So we're going to move Igor, and we're going to move the whole project over on yonder. There we go. So you guys can see what I got going on here, which is exactly what I got going on here. So, all right, let's position this guy and do the same thing. I'm going to declampinate this guy here. And I should probably put Igor on this side now. Yep. Igor. Igor had too much Thanksgiving. And we tried it again. All right. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. Igor's already had a lot of turkey. All right, let's try and 90 degree this thing. So I'm going to get things mostly there, get Eeyore situated, and then we'll put the glue on, which is right here. So Gordon said, wet rag to clean off the glue. Yes, I did not prepare a wet rag, but all this is going to get sanded anyways, so I'm not going to worry too much about it because we're going to be painting it. Now, if this were a staining project, yeah, you kind of don't want to rely just on sanding, because that's what I did with that back piece. And there's definitely areas of leftover glue, and you can tell. You can tell. So yes, it's best to get it off now, but since we're rocking, I'm going to keep rocking. Some cleats tucked up on the top corners. Cleats tucked up on the top corners. Explain yourself, bounty hunter. And Merlin is saying, this looks great. Let's continue on. But yes, glue is definitely so much easier to remove while it's wet with a wet rag. But in all of my preparations, I did not prepare that. So we're doing things mostly right today, mostly right. But Gordon is correct. All right. Now this being the top of the cabinet also, like, no one is gonna see this. So it's like totally optional if you even wanna like patch it, clean it, you know, fill it, I mean. So I'm just getting this flush. I'm feeling it with my hands. And as the glue kind of does its thing, I'm just kind of maybe move you here. See, you hear that? That's a triangle moving around, meaning it's not 90 degrees. Now it's quiet. Now it's 90 degrees. Ooh. But I've lost my flushness in the process. So, in doing this, I'm just letting the glue also kind of tacky up a bit, because that'll kind of help our situation. All right. So I'm going to start putting the clamps back. And I'll put one at the top because we all know how that goes. There, that's more 90. And this one up here. And usually I try and alternate. If the big heavy end is on this side, then when I put the other clamp, I alternate. So this portion is on that side, and then so this portion I'm going to put up here. Now normally we're on the floor, it doesn't matter, but if you're on the table, you'll notice that the project, if you put all the heavy part of the clamp on one side, the project will want to start to like tilt that way. So kind of like as habit, I've learned that. All right, getting that nice and tight, and we have 90-inch, people, 90 degrees. Let's see if we have flushage. We do. It's all nice and flush. And let's get to screwing it together. I'm going to start with the middle one. All right, you saw it kind of go out a little bit and then it came back in again, as it usually does. It also pushed out some glue, so we know that we're good there. And then I'm going to do this bottom one, which is notoriously kind of a weird position. So why don't we get it over with the most? Okay, we're still 90 when I rock the triangle back and forth. When she whips her hair back and forth. Isn't that a song? No leverage. I'm going to have to hug the project. I don't think I'm really sitting in the hole. Nope. There we go. That one was a struggle. I'm going to do this one up here, which is not as bad. I'm going to check my 90 again, only because I leaned on the, I pressed down on the clamps trying to get that one. So here we go. Moment to read your comments so that there's more in. I'm just facing backwards to the commentary right this second. Okay, that one went in a little deep, but no blow through. All right, guys, so it looks like we got all 90 degrees, which is awesome. And Bill is laughing. He's saying, I don't want to rack my flushiness. Oh, top cap, Bounty Hunter was saying. Okay. Yes. All right, now I get what you're saying. And Merlin is saying, you don't want to rack your project. And Bill said, we have 90-inch. Haha. Yes, we have right angle. Hooray. Yeah, winning is half the battle. 90 angles or 90 degrees is half the battle. So now we're gonna put the back half of it on, and I'm just trying to think, because this surface here has been on the floor, we know that most likely it's all flush there. I can already see there's flushness here, but here it's a little bit high. There's a little bit of lip. Nothing that a sander just won't sand right down. So I'm actually going to take Gordon's advice. I'm going to grab a quick wet rag now that like I'm not going to be jumping in and out, because there's stuff everywhere. I can't maneuver too quickly in the shop. So I'll be right back with a wet rags just so we can kind of give it a once over real quick. I'll be back, people. I'll be back. 2 minutes. All right, people, we're back, party people. I'm gonna get back in the club here, in the woodworking club, and kind of go hard at it because some of it started to kind of gum up already. So had I kind of approached this when Gordon had said, I think it was Gordon, this would have been much easier. But I'm not too worried because we be sanding and painting, and paints over glue just fine, people, just fine. So, Bounty Hunter's like, I'll be back. Yes, I'll be back. Hasta la vista. Phonebooth. All right. Another great movie with amazing Terminator 2. Oh my gosh. So few movies where the sequel is just as good as the first one. I'm sorry, but very, very few movies are like that. So I'm just going to flip this around, and I'm coming, pardon my armpits. Hold your nose. Hold your nose. Whoa, that's high. There we go. It's probably a little bit better. All right, so I'm just going to gently try and flip this around, not to lose our 90, and keep the surface that's on the floor. And we're just going to continue on, and that way I don't work on the other side all by myself. We're gonna pirouette this around. This is Bolshoi ballet of the wood. It's a new type of ballet. All right, we're gonna do the same thing here, and find me my piece. Here it is. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing. Now, let me think about this for a sec. If this is the part that faces us, and this is the back where we're going to put our backing, this actually has to sit up here. This actually has to sit up here because it has to be flush with the back. So we do have to flip this over. After the Bolshoi ballet of wood, we got to do it all over again. So this is the grand pirouette, the grand... Ooh. Guys, the fact that this is holding together like amazingly, we got some good joints, people. Some good joints. That's close up pocket holage. Let's bring this. What am I doing? Wait. Yep, like this. I'm confused. That happens far too easily. All right, so going back to like back here, I remembered that we had a flush end right here, and we had a not so flush end. So, hold on. Which way was up? I'm picking the flushest of all flushies. Ah, yes. So this is the top. So if this is the top, this is the front facing piece. So that's the back facing piece, which means it has to be like this. So I was right from the get-go. Jesus, people. What is wrong? There. Now, this will go like this on the floor. There we go. I mean, at the end of the day, like it super matters. It doesn't, because the parts that are not flush are like a micron. They're not even a 16th of an inch. They're a micron, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. All right. So, Bounty's like, no, what's in the box? What's in the box? And Jim Frozen is I'm back to with a tequila sunrise. Lucky. All right, so I'm getting this kind of flushed. And let's start with this side again, I guess, since it gave us, I got our speed square here doing its thing. And I think we may not even need our guy here. So let's start with this end. And I'm going to glue him, get our stuff back in motion here. Glue in the top. Oh, where's my rag? Darn. Oh well. We shall glue. Push it in. Jim's like, you want me to make you a drink too? Normally I would say yes, but this will turn out all crooked. People will be like, were you drinking when you put this together? This is terrible. All right, so let me start with the whole clamping situation here. I'm gonna clamp one down here. You know what? I should probably do the other side too at the same time. Do you think we can like clamp all this together? Let's try it. Try and get both ends at a 90. No, I got glue on the clamp. Alright. So I'm just going to do a light clampage here, just to kind of give me something to hold on to, since Igor's been less help than usual. Alright, let's 90 everything up. That is not 90. And 90 this way. Now this bottom 3/4 inch panel does have a little bit of a bow because of the way it was stored. But the piece, I see a tiny bit of bow, ever so little. I always find it so much harder to 90 up. You would think after you have 190 that this would just kind of go. I always find the last, you know, the second piece even tougher to get straight. And you have to like take the box and twist it, especially after like this Bolshoi ballet of the wood that I just did. Probably, it's looking good. Let's get this nice and clamped down there. No movement. Hair of a movement. There we go. I know you guys see none of the party that I'm having back here. Oh, even better. Okay, we're gonna split the difference. Yes. Next clamp. Making sure I got flushage everywhere. Just about. what I forgot to do with the other one is I take my clamp started at the bottom and I drag it all the way up to see if the board is twisted. Then you'll know you start losing your 90. And raising it up. Right, it just needs to twist that way. Perfect. Wants to untwist. All right, we good. That's always the longest part, is getting this part. The other one squared up real quick, only because it wasn't attached, so much easier to square up that way. All right, and then I'm going to switch and do the center of this one. Now then we'll re-square one more time, or just check the square. All right, and I'm missing my little rag here. Looking good, and looking pretty good. Oh, it would help too. This is a bit bowed. That was the problem. All right. Oh, let's do this bottom one since it's always the toughest. Kind of like putting on a manifold intake. You like alternate the bolts around for even pressure. There we go. Now the tops. This top. After this, we got our cabinet, guys. We just got to put our face frame on. Got excited. Calm down there. Calm down. I hear people bringing in their trash cans. Igor is a temp labor. He sure is. He's already like checked out. I like how I'm putting it, like, as I'm reading your comments, right where there's already a screw. Like, really? Come on. Sorry. You don't read and build at the same time. Except here. All the time we do it. Jim is saying, see if I got flushes. That's what the plumber says. Indeed. Do I got the flushes? We'll try that next. Rachel's Plumbing. Uh-oh. I don't know if anyone would want that to purchase those services. Like, I think it was Kuzer Customs. Come to my shop and build some woodworking thing. I'm like, oh, I don't know if you want it to be straight. All right, guys. I'm going to do, like, we can do anything about it now, other than unscrewing. All right. So bit, but I think it's more that it's, if you, what I call Clampy Craig, or Weight Watchers, but Clampy Craig, if you put Clampy Craig up in here, now you get almost, now you reduce the play because you've cinched that waist in. So there's a little tiny bit of bow. But our face frames will very much help with that. So, here we go. And guys, let's stand this thing up. Oh, my legs are permanently bent. And I'm just gonna grab this out of here. Let's stand this guy up and see how he looks. I'm gonna see if I can maybe put him even on our thing back here. So let's see, can you guys see this? Oh, there goes my measuring tape, fell behind something. So let me put it kind of where I'll see it. And let's see if we can do, actually, let's do our face frame first before we stand it up. So that way we're not constantly like moving it around. So I think the best way to do the face frame is, let's see. Maybe if I kind of do this with you guys. I'm going to take you on a journey. Oh, look at that. That's amazing. There. Guys all feel like wasted. It's like, whoa, what's happening? All right, so let's take our pieces here that we pre-cut out and see if they work out. So, we got that guy there, that guy there, and him. Wait, no, that's the wrong piece, right? He's short. Yeah, that's the wrong piece. Where's the right piece? Did I leave him outside? Where's my tape measure? Here it is. Let me just confirm that this is, didn't we say like 20, 21 some, 21 and an eighth inches? Uh-oh. Did we boo-boo something? Oh, yep, let's put them up on the thing. Uh-oh, I wonder if this is too wide. I don't think so. Oh, I know what I did. I know exactly what I did, and I'm going to show you guys the boo-boo I just did. We just have to run out and cut a quick other piece. Check out my boo-boo. Check out my boo-boo. So, basically, I'll move these guys out of the way. Because this thing sits right beautifully in that hole, what I did was measure, just took the same measurement of this top piece, completely forgetting that this table has a 1x2 on either side. So we actually have to add 1.5 inches to this measurement that I just did. So we have to recut because I just took my written down measurement and went with it. So I'll be back, people. Let me remeasure. And where's my tape measure? I'm just going to my table here, and I'm going to open the garage door. Whoop, it closed, and now it's opening. All right, so let me just go back to my notes to write this number down, so that way I don't group again. This new number. I'm just writing down my new calculations because I seriously flubbed this one. Maybe that's why we don't measure up in here. Measuring is bad. So what did we say? We started with 21 and an eighth, and we have to add 1.5 to it. So, and then I'm just gonna measure to be sure. And plus a halfie. All right, I'm going to double check this with you guys here in a second. So I am getting 22 and 5/8. So 21 and 1/8 plus 1 1/2. I'm getting 22 and 5/8. Right? 22 and 5/8. So these are 40-inch pieces. So I think I still have wood outside, and I'm just gonna cut up real quick another piece of wood, and I'll be back. I'll be back, people. Yep, I think it's 22 and 5/8. So, oh, I'm already forgetting my tape measure. And I'll meet you guys outside. I will teleport you. 22 and 5/8. I'm actually going to write this down on this piece of wood and take it with me. Alright. And teleporting you guys. Engage. There we go. Going around the long way. Alright, party people, I'm back. And I shall teleport you. Here we go. Alright. Now, don't need that. Don't need any of that. Now let me just make sure I got the correct piece, because you know how sometimes you grab the wrong piece when you're outside. Cut up a bunch of pieces, they all start to look the same. Yeah, so this is our 22 and 5/8 piece. And now I'm going to just tilt you guys back down again to see kind of what I got going on. And shift you over like that so you get the bestest view. There we go. And I'm just going to close the garage door. Because now it be getting cold again. It be getting cold again. All right. And Jim Frozen is saying, my knees are hurting just seeing you. Oh, watching you the past 2 hours. You ever put your knee on a random screw? Oh, yes. Like stepping on Legos. Oh, yeah. It's really bad. I used to have knee pads somewhere in here, but I think like It was from somebody doing work in the house and they accidentally left these knee pads. I tried calling them, everything, like, hey, you might want these back. And then I was like, all right, never came, never returned my calls. I was like, yoink, you know, for myself. Let me take this sticker off because I know I'll forget, and then I'll sand over it, and then it becomes like impossible to remove. So, there we go. I'm gonna see if I can make the trash. Too long. All right, so the idea is that this face frame, is it correct? How could it be still too short? Wait. Oh, okay. There we go. It wasn't lined up flush. Whoop. All right, I was about to freak out there for a second and just be like, I'm over this. Guys, it's still too short. Why it be short? Let me grab my measuring. Wait a minute, I am super suspicious now of this. That's correct. That's correct. It's 26, which is the same as this. Oh, I'm an idiot. Why am I not mathing today? So the length would be actually 23, not 22 5/8 and 3/16 3/4, the way, you know, we've been doing. So it would just be a simple 23. And for good measure, that's why. So I'll be yet again right back, because the simpler the math, the more I unmath it, right? It seems like all the other complex, you know, equations and all this folding contraption I got right. But a simple, what is 26 minus 3, people? I just can't get, right? I just can't get. So here we go again. Back out on the concrete. And let me open up the garage for you. And let me grab this. Let me grab my pencil. And let me grab. And for my insolence, I'm not even going to put on my coat. I'm going to suffer in the cold, because that's what I deserve for that bad mathing. Alrighty, I'm gonna teleport you guys back. There we go. Well, I'm thinking we busted that myth. That whole like, oh, measure twice, so you only have to cut once. What a jam that whole thing is. I say, like, measure once and hope for the best at this point. I was doing way better when I wasn't measuring at all. This measuring business. All right. It's got me doubting my own math. Finally, there we go. So I'm gonna start first with each of the long pieces, and then we'll put in this top piece. So I'm gonna start with glue, and then brad all the way down. So let's prep the compressor, which is like really loud, our ghost compressor. And I'm going to, let's see, move crap out of the way, right? That's always a good thing to do. So I'm just kind of sneaking around you guys. And then we're going to put, once we got these on, we're hopefully done. And we're going to put this on top, this little hutch. Ouch. On top, there I go, banging the mic with my head again. Like the one person told me, if you're Aries bump their heads a lot. I'm like, really? That's quite displeasant. They're like a ram, you know, they can't help but hit their head all over the place. So sorry on your ears. Sorry on your ears. Jim Frozen, Bill Fraser, yep, they're all agreeing they do the same thing. This kind of stuff happens. Dave Beck is saying, hold on, I'm writing a program to make that calculation. I have a NASA double check me. Oh yeah, when you need NASA to double check 26 minus 3, I'm in bad shape, people. That level of unmathability is pretty embarrassing. Pretty embarrassing. Maybe I should pre-tape these. Doing it live, probably not a good thing. People are going to be like, that Rachel, she can't do basic math. That's quite bad. Alright. But no, I like doing it live. I like talking to you all. So I'm going to plug this in, and it's going to get loud. Alright. So I'm going to glue this down, and the objective is to line up this edge right here with the edge of our cabinet to make it flush. We want it flush on this side, which means it's going to overhang on this side, which is what we calculated for, hopefully. Hopefully what we calculated for. I'm going to grab a little glue. All right. And what I like to do is start at one end and work my way down, flushing it up as I go, because these aren't always straight. Sometimes they're bowed, so you have to kind of like fight them a little bit. So this will definitely help remove and or control bowing of this piece right here. Now, a 1x4 does a much better job, like this guy here. This is a 1x4. Here's a 1x2 here, which you guys can't really see. These are much better at controlling bowing than this, but again, there's gonna be no real weight. This is like decorative to be able to fold our table into. So it's not like we're putting shelving or anything like that. So we should be good. Now this has it tackied up a little bit, so we can start laying it on. And here we go. Oh, now you decide to be quiet. What are you at? Okay. Now, mine is a brad nailer and stapler in one. So if you don't watch the pressure, it'll tend to leave staple looking dents in your piece, even though you're just brad nailing. Normally for stained pieces, I go on a test piece until the pressure is just right. For this, because we are going to be puttying anyways, I'm not going to cry over whether, you know, we get a couple staple indents in this, because I'll make them go away. I'm not worried too bad. Here we go. Oh, let me check my nail status, and I need a little bit more. So we'll go through what we have. Now I need more because it just flipped right out. We'll go with what we have and then we'll refill as needed. Here we go. So it's important that this first one is nice and flush, even if it causes your piece to completely come off the piece like that. I've had like these bad types of bows. So get this piece however flush you can, and you know, don't worry too much about what's going on there. You can also clamp, that helps too, like both sides, and then you're golden, but we don't have much to clamp onto because our one end is short. Oh, these hoes! Them hoes! I'm just taking my time, and I basically feel for where that 1/2 inch is and do, like, you know, use my daredevil tactile and echolocation skills to get the nail so it doesn't pop out through any of the sides. I'm gonna be pretty liberal with my brad nail, and I'm just making sure we're flush on this side by pushing and pulling the piece as I go along. We still got nails. Ooh, I'm gonna stand up here and hunch myself over. Extra ones down here. So that's that, guys. And let's go on to the other side. Silvio is back. Só falta, Silvio, me grampear no projeto. Aí eu fico grudada pra sempre nesse projeto. All right, so I'm gonna glue this side. I'm back, US peeps, and I'm just gonna kind of kick this over here. And I think for ease of use, I'm going to lift this up and over, this hot mess right here, and put it in with me. And before I glue, let's recharge the cartridge there. And by recharge, I mean refill it. So let me grab 1 1/4. 1 1/4 brads. And refill the cartridge. All right. Oh, curse you, coiled hose. Curse you. Those are the worst. So with this particular one, normally you have to go through an entire one before you can put a new one in. With a lot of them, if you still have a few left over, you can still put a fresh cartridge in. Let's see if it closes. Yeah, it just doesn't like to. So let's see, how many do we have? I'll keep these handy here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a couple. I ain't counting them. All right, yeah, so you do have to finish a whole cartridge before you start up again. All right, so I'm gonna fire this on again. Actually, I'm gonna glue first and then I'll fire it on. And I'm missing my little wet rag, but we're cruising, people, we're cruising. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna get on this side and have Igor out of the way because he's been super useful. He did like one thing today, which is help me, you know, box up this thing while we were pocket hole screwing. So he did one thing useful. I can't say he was totally useless, just mostly totally useless. All right. So, let me see what my pressure looks like here. Holy moly. That's a lot of pressure. Oh no, wrong gauge. All right, we're good. We're good. Wrong gauge, people. Okay, we're flush there. So far, no blow through. Meaning if your gun is a little bit crooked, it can blow through on a 1/2 inch material. 3/4 inch is way more forgiving. But this, you gotta make sure you hit it perpendicular. Oh, we're out. We're out. I was like, why is this jiggling? It's moving around too much. Igor still wants to buy me lunch. He certainly does owe me lunch. Days the project is just like it wants to hit like the 3rd date. I'm like, no, we're still on first date. First date, knock it off. It's like grabbing me and stuff. All right, curse you, coil. Ah. Oh, that one went sideways. We're doing well. All right. Think we're good there. All right. A plethora of brad nails. All right. I think we're good. Now let's move on to that top piece. Which like now magically won't fit. Like the math, it'll like move around on us. And we're gonna be like, no. Will you fit? Why are you so different? Guys, is not 26 minus 3 23? Why? Why you curse me so? Why do you curse me? Wait a minute, I think I got the wrong piece. Oh, guys, I may not be so cursed. Oh, thank God. I was about to, no joke, just throw this whole contraption into the wall and call it done and be like, yeah, we don't need a phone booth. We don't need a phone hutch. Oh my gosh, guys. Measuring, you're not making a good argument for yourself. I was doing good not measuring at all, and it would just come together. This whole, you really should measure stuff. It's a bunch of baloney. All right, so let's get this guy on, guys, and our hutch is done. And these two kind of help sandwich the situation, so that's good. And this one's definitely bowed because it's great in the center, and then it starts to scoop up, towards the side, so I'll have to like hold it down. So I'm gonna start, I think I'll start in the center here, since this is where it really wants to touch. And now I swear that this folding contraption better fit in here. I'm gonna be pissed. this is looking good. All of them, we got no blowout with the brad nailer. I held it real perpendicular, except for one right here, just blew through a little bit. I may try and wiggle him out, but let's get him up here and see what's going on. Let me close the glue, move some of this stuff out of the way, and let's see at the end of the day what we ended up with. Will our table fold into this thing? If it doesn't, then I may take up, wasn't it Jim saying that he'll make me a drink? I will take you up on that if this thing doesn't close the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to just raise you guys up a little bit. Raise you up so we can all see how the heck this is going to come together. All right. Is this high enough? Nope, a little bit higher. Yep. Oh, you got shoes. All right, project, you're good for something. You're a shoe tire holder foot device. All right. So let me get you guys a little bit higher. There we go. That should be good. All right. I figured, and Bounty Hunter is saying, this is turning into a marathon stream. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, we're going to keep going till this thing is sitting up there and we test. So we're about to be cool. We're about to be done. And Silvio is saying, let's see. So Silvio is saying, oh, it's starting to take shape, you know, so he's liking the way it looks. Sim, Silvio, a gente já tá acabando, então eu vou pôr essa peça em cima daquela outra peça e a gente vai fazer o teste para ver se esse pedaço aqui cabe dentro do nosso buraco que a gente fez. All right. And Bounty Hunter is saying, it is a success with the monolith. And Jim is saying, rain and snow here, so this is great to watch and have a drink with Rachel and Igor. Oh, you're so lucky. Yeah, I'll be taking you up on this, if this, your drink, if this whole thing doesn't work. So, now we're going to ask, can Rachel get this up on here? I don't like to grab something we've just glued, but I kind of have no choice. Guys, this is not that heavy. This is not that heavy. And I'm kind of happy about that. One of the reasons I wanted to use 1/2 inch was price. Okay, I ain't gonna lie, price, you know, but the weight as well. And because it's not really going to be taking any supporting anything. We're gonna put our phone here. And I guess we can do a couple things, but I thought the backing panel I can cover in that kind of funky 1950s pattern here, and then the 2 drawers down here will have the same pattern. Everything else will be painted blue. So the objective for us is, A, to see if this stupid thing even fits on top of here. All right. Pretty good, guys. It is flusheroni. Flusheroni's here. So that's looking good. Now, I kind of tousled back and forth. We can certainly make dowels and unite the 2 pieces together, and then from underneath, screw from the bottom to further unite these pieces together. Then what we can do is putty all the way around, and the piece will look like one. Just like this one right here. The one on the right. See how that cabinet is one piece? So I was going for that type of look. I like the color of the one on the left, you know, but the color of the one on the right. So you can see that we're kind of modeling our design after that one on the right, using a whole hodgepodge of thrift store material. The only thing that we custom built was this Hutch portion right here. So we modified the bottom so it's flat, and once we putty everything, it'll look seamless. But here's the but. This ain't living here in the garage. And I'm figuring, what if I unite these 2? Now, I mean, that's just gonna be annoying to carry it. Even if I take the legs off, because it's like legless now. Can you imagine dragging it up the stairs? And I'm not gonna do that. So I will put dowels, and we can screw in from underneath to secure everything. But I would like the pieces to stay removable, you know? So I'm thinking I will not putty around. Yes, you're gonna see a little bit of a seam, but for my practicality, I think I'd like to keep these things as 3 pieces that are detachable. Legs, dresser portion, hutch portion. The other idea too is that you can always put a nailer board here and nail this through studs onto the wall. And heck, you can lose the legs. It can almost be like a wall hutch, and then the tables float down. So let's drum roll, people. Drum roll. Let's see how this is gonna go. And let's see what y'all saying. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yeah. David Beck is adding flusheroni to the dictionary. That's good. And Jim is saying, good job, Rachel. You're putting a telephone lighted sign on it. Ooh, now you're talking. Mounting brackets in the back. So yes, we can put a nailer board to it. The other thing I'm going to do, which we're not going to do today, is see these corners? I'm going to make a triangle, a stopper triangle, which will act to stop this thing from going too far back. But it'll also double up as a structural component up here and back here. I'm also going to put like a strip in the back where, you know, we can mount the backing panel, or just put the backing panel and just kind of nail it in the back. So yes, you can do a nailer board. You can do another support board here if you want. But for our purposes, like, it's not really going to support any weight. Once the backing panel is back, this jigglage here will not happen anymore. It's only doing it because, you know, it's missing a whole side. It's basically got this as support. But you can see it's much less jigglage now that we have these panels on. So, enough talk. I've stalled enough. Ooh, let's see if this works. Now, I'm going to try and reach my hand around the back so it doesn't fall backwards. People! And I think I got enough clearance where I don't have to sand so much. Oh, got a little rubbing, but I think it's because it's crooked. All right, it's a little crooked, so we got a little rubbage. Let me push him, uncrooked him. But, guys, there we go. Move him a little. This is looking pretty good. And so, you know, we got to pretend he's sitting up higher on his legs. The person would come and be like, oh, I've got some work to do. But, let's see. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let me move him. Oh, there we go. And that kind of helps close the gap. Now, per my taste, this gap is a little bit bigger than what I'd like, but I'm going to leave it and put a clasp here. This will hold the thing in place. And so, of course, when it comes time to use the table, I unclasp it here to loosen it. There'll be a handle here where you can help to pull it, and it, of course, it'll be attached in the back. It'll be hinged in the back. Right now it is not, and I'm going to not put the hinge in right away because I'd like to paint it separately. And so then it'll come out like this, hopefully far more graceful than what I'm doing it, and not have to use your head to do this, and it'll come like this. So obviously it's at a funky angle. Let's see if the floor view is even better. Not really, but you guys can see what's going on. So the gap that we got was the 1/8 of an inch, exact like we measured. You know, it's a little too big for me, but I'll live with it. And it's sitting pretty nicely, and you can see that once we go like that, once it's at its real height, you know, with the legs, it'll look like that. Now, the legs cannot kick out that way because of our portion, you know, up here, but they can kick in this way unless we put our brackets. So really the only thing missing now from this, which I'm going to put the legs now on our unit here, and I can calculate where the hinge is going to go, because you see this is inset in here. It actually sits in here. So I'll put a mark, and I'll know that I can put a nice little 3/4 inch border, just like we have here. You know, this is a 1.5 because it's a 1x2. I'm going to take this 1x2 and trim it into a 3/4 and run like a little 3/4 all the way down until it meets here, and then I'm going to stop. So that way this 1/2 inch can sit flush on this table. So, and I'll do that on the other side. So that's one of the reasons why when I close this, you see kind of a funky gap actually before I close it, because you will not see the funky gap in this view. Woo! But you will see it in this view right here. So, And it's not all that heavy. It's actually not bad. Oh, why you not go in? Oh, because you fell back. It fell onto the 3/4 inch piece. All right. So it's a little funky. So anyways, if you look all the way down here, you see kind of like a funky gap, and that's because it's missing its face piece. So this one on the left and the right will be covered up. And guys, I think we nailed it. I think we nailed it together. So I'm just gonna put this piece over here. And it's not bad. So yes, with support triangles, and I'll probably put another support triangle back here. So it'll have 2 support triangles holding it. This is a 3/4 inch piece. It's probably, it's probably good. I probably don't need anything. The other thing that I'm gonna build on my own is a small little channel that goes all around. So think of like a baby frame that goes all around in here. And what is that for? That is to hide our LED strip. I'm gonna add an LED strip with you guys, and we're gonna program it together. An LED strip that goes all the way around like this, that's gonna light the booth from the inside with our cool phone, which is working, by the way. I'm still waiting on the modular tone, pulse to tone converter, and then that'll be done. And then it can dial out, so it can receive calls, and I can hear the dial tone. It just cannot dial out at this point. So guys, let the voting begin. What you think? And by the time we come back, hopefully I'll have this all painted. So as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna start fillering everything, putting filler on everything, our wood filler, sanding it down, and getting this ready for the paint process. So hopefully we can move on to the electrical and wiring for the next stream. So guys, I'm gonna catch up on all your comments. Bounty Hunter is saying, it looks perfect. It's the slant of the floor. Yep. Oh yeah, it does look kind of crooked. You're right. I did not calibrate this camera. Like I didn't fix the feet. So yeah, it definitely looks a little bit weird crooked. As Silvio is saying, good job, Rachel. Muito bom, Raquel. Sim, olha, ficou bonito. Ficou muito bonito, então, e tudo tá funcionando. Então, eu tô contente com isso. Então, na próxima vez, eu vou pintar tudo isso, vai estar tudo pintado. E a gente vai fazer a parte eletrônica de tudo isso. A gente vai pôr luzes de LED e talvez uns outros truques que a gente vai fazer juntos. Kevin is saying, impressive. And Bounty Hunter is saying, so at the bottom of the leg table, when you have it closed up, would you be looking to add another piece on a piano hinge that you can flip down to allow the unit to be pulled out? All right. So on here, I don't quite follow the question, but I think I kind of know what you're saying. So here you'll notice that there's a gap there. And one of the things that we're going to do with this guy right here is, I'm going to lay him here kind of carefully. So we have this gap going on. So you guys can see that. And so we're going to put, I think Bill had this idea to put adjustable feet. So we're going to screw in adjustable feet, and they're going to hang by 1/4 inch once they're fully retracted. So 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. So it'll have, feet. They'll have a clasp here so it doesn't fall out on us on its own, so you want to clasp it. There will be a gold handle here that will allow you to start pulling it out here. So there'll be like a gold handle that I showed you guys last week. So that's how the situation is going to work. When it retracts, not only do you clasp it shut, but there'll be a stop block inside the unit so it can't fall back anymore. So like say you're by yourself and you're retracting it with the handle, and the whole thing just collapses back on you. So there will be a stop block. So there'll be 2 mechanisms to prevent you from kind of like getting it past its rotation point. So So I think that's what you mean, is by having some way, like a handle or something, to pull it out, or some type of hinge mechanism to pull it out. That's what I think you mean, But guys, sitting feels good, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So guys, we got it done. It looks awesome. So I'm super proud of us. I'm super proud, except the least proud moment, which is thinking that 26 minus 3 equal 22 and 5/8. What kind of complex math yields those results? It's like 1 plus 1 is 3, right? So guys, thanks so much for joining. We had like a whole bunch of people on today and we got through this. We got through this, wrong measurements and all, and the whole thing works. So the last thing to really figure out is the table support. So when the table is all folded out, the legs can't go this way. Once I put the locking hinges, it will not be able to buckle in on itself either. So that problem is solved. And the tabletop is supported by the actual unit on one end, which is great. No problem there. But on this end, it is for now only supported by the hinge and those locking brackets, which is enough for like if you want a laptop on there, you don't have too much stuff on there, no problem. I would like to devise some kind of contraption that is stuck on the legs that maybe swings out so the table can rest on and it can have another physical point of like resting on something, so the ideas are yours, guys. So jump on Discord, which is the best way to go back and forth with me and each other and discuss this stuff in real time. So it's not like a forum where you post something and you're like waiting for days. When you post something, everybody knows, so we get on and we have these conversations. You'll see a special channel, which is like a forum board called Payphone Project. So definitely check it out. That's where we discuss all this stuff between streams and I get even additional ideas to try out live. Oh yeah, we're just gonna try everything live. So guys, thank you so much for joining, and a special thanks to our Wrench Army members that help support all this stuff. And so not only do we do these cool projects Mondays and Wednesdays, and now a lot of times Fridays, Wrench Army members get their very own project. So we're gonna pick up with that over the weekend. And until next time, guys, check Discord and social media for the next date, which will probably be this Friday, which means I gotta hustle up on some painting. I gotta hustle up, right? And I'm gonna spare you guys that. I'm not gonna make you watch paint dry in between coats. And there I go, I'm rollering again. It's way worse than watching me try to cut 500 times and then cut it wrong. All right, guys, have a great midweek day and enjoy them cocktails. And I'll be having one as well later in the week. Bye, guys!